Terry gets a little long for me.
Okay. Is it time?
Yes, ma'am, it's 3:00.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order for Commissioners Court, Polk County for August 5th, 2021, emergency session. It's 3 p.m. Our tax assessor collector found some mistakes, some errors that had occurred, and part of it has to do with the comptroller's office, and part of it has to do with Harris Automation. And so she's going to give us her corrected tax rate calculations that she has developed. Leslie, you want to come up?
On the very back page, I think I gave all y'all one. What we're most interested in is the voter approval rate. It dropped drastically, for me anyway. And I've checked with lawyers, I've checked with everybody, and they said, yep, that's what it's gonna be. It's gone down to 0.6376.
Okay, so all of you all have a printout. We did it like we normally do. Yeah, like we normally do, so you can see. So the no new revenue tax rate is 0.6021 per 100. The voter approval tax rate is 0.6376 per 100. And so we've gone in, we've made some adjustments, and we've made some corrections. Do you all have any questions for Leslie before we let her?
I will say this, I'm gonna talk to True Automation, because as of today, they were still making changes.
Well, and that's the other thing, this county spends approximately $30,000 a year with Harris True Automation. And so for them not to be able to provide our tax assessor collector with accurate information is
And then we,
pretty bad.
on top of what we
Yes.
spend, I have, for each entity that I calculate, I have to pay this time of year for each entity so much. And it's
Anyway.
not cheap.
Anyway, so that definitely needs to be something that the court needs to review. And so we need for Harris
And
True
I do
Automation.
love, now, their collection side of it, we love it. But as far as the truth and taxation part,
For that amount of money, they should be providing us the truth and taxation part of it.
yeah, as of right now, our lawyers are doing are making sure, because I'm sending it to us, double check with all the new forms, please double check. And I have two ladies at our law office that are doing that. And they said, I can't believe it either, but I said, it's stressful.
So,
So we don't expect any more changes after this
No, sir.
number?
No, sir. that
This is a number we've got to stick with?
Yes, sir. Me and Carrie both worked together today, this morning, to make sure that we both could, come to an agreement on the numbers and everything was there. And we tried our best to make sure numbers weren't left out or that were put in incorrectly. We just wanted to, we double checked a lot. And I appreciate Carrie's help with that this morning.
Thank you, Karen.
okay,
Thank
so
you.
let me back up and tell you all basically then what we scrambled to do today. So those are the changes that you have in front of you, and we'll go back to the tax calculations and consider what we need to do. So if you go to the road and bridge side, the road and bridge calculations, make sure you don't, not upside down. If you recall, we started out, the balance for you all was, the increase from prior year was 412,332. And then because of the deferrals, we were able to take you up to 459,880. And then we had added a transfer from general fund. To keep you all with the same tax rate, then that means that the general fund is going to be where the hit occurs. So now the target balance is 517,407, and we've added a budget general fund transfer of 140,000 as opposed to the 200,000. So that still keeps your budgets healthy. So you're still getting the additional monies, it's just not as much. Because the big hit for this change happens in the general fund. So what we also did, we've always been conservative in our estimates, and so we've always done the 97% collection rate. It's always been higher than that, but we didn't want to estimate it higher, right? And then that be the year that we didn't have that same collection rate. So we took the collection rates, on debt service it's at 99 because historically we've been over 99% collection rate. And the general fund rate, we took it to 98% as opposed to 97%. And we did the same thing on the road and bridge front. And that's where that increase is occurring in road and bridge. Generally, your budgets get more than what we estimate because of the collection rate. That make sense? Okay, so that takes, road and bridge, general fund to 98% collection rate, debt service still at 99 because historically that is what is reflected. So we went in and we've now gone through and estimated the budget with the new rate. The only other option would be, and if the board tells us to do this, we will, but based on previous discussions, none of us were interested in doing the emergency funding. So I think that if we lower some of these budgets, then we can stay within that, within the new rate, which would be the 6376, the proposed act, right there. Yes. Now, what that does, these are the changes that would have to occur. We would take out 12,000 from contingencies. Now, keep in mind that in contingencies is where we had put the sheriff's office new medical. So that still leaves the new medical in the sheriff's department, okay? We're not hurting the sheriff's office is what I'm saying. So we're still keeping that there because we haven't seen the contract, but we'd still be able to take care of the sheriff's office. We would take out 30,000 from maintenance, which is our capital outlay buildings, and we would just have to streamline and prioritize how we do these security upgrades and updates in those buildings. And obviously, that bumps back, we had talked about reviewing our options in terms of the asbestos removal in the annex building, so that actually kicks that can a little further down the road, because that was one of our more expensive projects we were looking at. The inmate mental health, not health, but mental health, that we had bumped up to, back up to 150. We took 50 out of that, and then we'll just see what we can do and try to move forward. That's the budget that basically we had not been utilized very much, but now with a new push in terms of mental health and looking for options for the jail medical in terms of mental health, then we can bump that down. And
That
then
would still leave it at 100,000.
yes, sir, we would still leave it at
Give us a
100,000.
start.
Yes, and that's a beginning, and then that gives us and the jail and the sheriff an opportunity to see what's out there and see what options we have in terms of mental health. Or go through social services, you know, that we're looking at every option we can find in terms of mental health. And so then that decrease, and then we would have to take 60,000 out of that transfer that we originally had, $200,000 to transfer into road and bridge. We would change that to 140 and take 60,000 out.
I'll do my part.
Yep. everybody's married and all that?
No,
We're
sir.
in good, we're in good shape.
No, sir, no, sir, we're keeping, that's keeping everything else intact.
We can all give a little,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
And that's basically what we did. We went through and looked for spots, you know, where we had projects in mind, we had goals in mind that could be modified or changed. But at the same time, we were trying to keep as much money as we possibly could in road and bridge. I mean, we all know that we need improvements in those areas. And the other thing was, we did not want to mess with the mitigation emergency budget either, that's available to road and bridge. I call it our tornado victim line item, because that's basically what motivated the court to wanna do something like that.
Yeah. Now, that was just extra for us anyway, which is nice.
We'll make it work.
It's way better
Yeah.
to do it this way.
Yeah,
Yep.
Anytime we can lower
and,
the tax rate.
well, yeah, and that gives some relief to our taxpayers. We're just gonna have to live within our means, I guess is my point.
I got no problem with that.
Okay, so, same thing we're gonna have to do as before. We're gonna need a motion, and then we're gonna have to individually
So moved.
vote.
Second.
So we have motions from the same two individuals, Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Vincent. Commissioner Purvis, your proposed tax rate is 0.6376.
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Vote to lower the tax rate.
Commissioner Overstreet,
Yes.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Motion passes. Okay, and then number 2 is consider any and all necessary action regarding the proposed 2021 tax rate. Excuse me, I went backwards from that. So that was number 2, and so we are moving forward. That was the vote number 2 instead of number 1. So basically, unless there are any objections, this will be the new budget that is proposed and put on our website.
Right.
I like it.
Like it?
Yeah.
Looks good. Okay,
Thank you, man. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Leslie. Thank you, Carrie.
Commissioner Overstreet?
Thank you.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Very well. Thank you, everybody.